welcome to another episode of Tiger Driver Radio for all things New Japan Pro Wrestling and the best of the indies. This is your main man, J to the P, alongside
Juicy J.
What's up, dude?
What up, man?
Telling you, man, it just dawned on me, man, that we are now already in August. The year is just a little over halfway over.
Summer.
Yeah, summer's over. Kids are going back to school.
Yeah.
Good riddance. No, I take that back. It kind of does suck because when kids go back to school, that means that traffic in the morning for me to go to work gets worse.
Bad. Yeah.
And it's already bad enough because I work on a government installation, so you got to always worry about traffic.
That's going to be bad for you.
So it's always bad for me. So like the summer months and winter vacations are great. But man, as it just dawned on me that it's already going to be like, towards the end of August now, man. I realized, man.
So did you have a good summer?
I mean, I don't have summers off we were in school, I
didn't go skinny dipping?
Oh, I mean, I went tubing.
Yeah.
I did not go skinny dipping. I would like to go skinny dipping. If there's any women out there, let me know, please. Preferably between like 5'5" and 5'8", less than 160 pounds. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No body shaming. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. No, I didn't really get to. I mean, I enjoyed my summer and all, but like the thing that dawned on me is like after the G1 just ended, I'm just like, wow, we really haven't done like a mid-year review. So I was thinking about like, all right, New Japan's off for a little while before the Super J Cup starts, and of course Royal Quest and
Destruction.
Yeah, and the Destruction Tour in New Japan, and then of course AEW is lurking around in the fall for their launch of their TV show.
Yeah,
and things are just exciting, man. They're really, really exciting in the world of wrestling. And then I started thinking, man, me, I'm always a big fan of lists. It's all about lists. Well, this week, ladies and gentlemen, New Japan Pro Wrestling is currently off for now until the Super J Cup starts, but that doesn't mean that we don't have a show for you. And the good thing is, I think this is a fun show. I've always liked shows like these or segments like these where we just come up with lists, and you ask, what kind of list? What are you talking about? Well, the lists that I am talking about, we have both decided to do our top 5 favorite New Japan Pro Wrestling matches up to this point. And now, granted, there's a lot to contend with because there's a lot of amazing matches that have happened this year.
Yeah,
a lot of great moments. Big year for New Japan Pro Wrestling. We also even decided to do the top 5 wrestlers in New Japan's roster this year. Mm-hmm. And if that's not enough for you, we got a little bit more. Then we decided to do a top 5 list of best non-New Japan matches out there, excluding the WWE, because our fucking rules. And then also the best non-New Japan wrestling talent out there in the world right now that's currently going on. And that's a lot of people. So I'm pretty sure our lists are going to differ. And I'm not just like the way that I did it was just like, it's not a matter of like, oh, who's my favorite wrestlers right now? I just think like who's out there really killing it this year, So we'll definitely compare and contrast lists. But first things first, man, we got to get to the New Japan stuff. Let's start off with our top 5 wrestlers in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Let's do it. Vámonos, take it away.
You got it. Take it away, mandate. Y esta es mi banda, arre,
Man, that was a nice little tribute to, was it Johnny Canales?
Yeah.
Okay, for those of you that grew up in the Southwest, in Texas, or watched Univision, like on Saturday morning cartoons, you'd watch, and you knew Saturday morning cartoons were over when like one of 3 things came on the channel. Either it was like American Bandstand, Soul Train, infomercials, and then if you were in a Spanish-speaking home, probably Johnny Canales came on. And that's it. No more Saturday morning cartoons. So for those of you who didn't get the reference, no, I'm not going to apologize. It just means that you didn't grow up in a Mexican Spanish-speaking household. I did.
And then you had to clean after.
You have to clean up. Time to clean, or it's time to go do something. You got to go do something, like something important, groceries or something. But anyway, man, top 5, wrestlers in New Japan this year. It's a competitive year, man. There's been a lot of great showings by a lot of great people.
So many.
So do you want to start? Do you want to start?
Let's do 1 and 1. I'll do 1 and then you do 1.
Okay, I'll start.
Okay.
Now my number 5. My number 5 is Ibushi. Kota Ibushi. And the reason why I put him at number 5 is I don't think he's quite overall. We just saw that he won the G1. I feel like for a little portion of this year, he did start off the year rough at Wrestle Kingdom. He got injured, wasn't able to perform for a while. And I feel like the G1 finally made up for that lost time. And, you know, he's been kicking ass. And I really feel like ever since he decided to permanently sign with New Japan, they've been pushing him. They've been wanting to push him. And I feel like he's proven himself that he can get the job done. He got the G1 done. But the ultimate test is, can he win the big title match against whoever has the IWGP Heavyweight title? Whether that's Okada or someone else between now and Wrestle Kingdom. But I feel like he deserves to be top 5 simply because his performance in the G1 definitely elevated him out of the bottom part of the roster, because for a while he wasn't doing so hot, and then now he is. So I feel like number 5 goes to Ibushi. He's doing better, but he hasn't quite got there just yet. He still has to prove himself. What about you?
For my number 5, I have
Ishii, number 5.
Yeah, I have a
interesting
number. I actually was a little bit either I was going to choose him or somebody else, but I think he did deserve to be in my top 5. He has so many great matches this year. Like any match you can think of with him and somebody else, he had a great match.
No, for sure.
So why not put him in my top 5? As we talked about before, we want him to be having some kind of belt. I mean, he deserves it, and
something
I think,
bigger than the never.
Yeah, like I said last week, if they don't do it in 2019 or 2020, as far as giving him the belt, IWGP belt, that's it. I mean, they can't do it again, or they can. I mean, they can do it again, but what I mean is
time
they're not
is
going to be
now.
able. Yeah, exactly. His time is up. Like that's it. Number 5.
Okay, cool. And then we move on to the number 4 spot. I put Will Ospreay, and the reason why I put Will Ospreay is that currently he's the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. He's heading. It's ridiculous. Right after an amazing performance in the New Japan Cup, he made it. Didn't quite capture the New Japan Cup, but then goes into the G1, has a mediocre performance. He was able to wrestle these amazing matches, but couldn't quite get the job done. And now he's going into the Super J Cup, going back down to the junior division. But the thing is, you see him perform so well with these heavyweight wrestlers that I feel like he is now starting to establish himself as a bona fide heavyweight. And I think Ospreay has had a little bit longer of an opportunity than maybe Shingo Takagi to show that he can hang with the heavyweights. And the reason why I put him at number 4 above Ibushi is because even with Ospreay obviously stating that he wants to bridge the gap between heavyweights and junior heavyweights, he has done a beautiful job in doing so. Everything from his rivalry with Robbie Eagles to his almost pinning Okada to his performance, in the G1 to pretty much annihilating Kota Ibushi earlier in the year. Ospreay is the man. There is no doubt in my mind he will be IWGP Heavyweight Champion. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And I think this year he has definitely shown himself, and then also shown as to why he is pretty much the figurehead of the junior heavyweight.
Yeah, I have Ospreay a little bit higher on my list. Dun dun dun
Dun, dun, dun.
But I agree with you on that one. My number 4, I have Ibushi. So for everything you just mentioned about Ibushi, he's the top guy, man. I mean, he could be the face of the company if he wanted to.
I agree.
And hopefully they make him the face of the company later on, once Okada maybe is a little bit out of the picture, which he's not going to be. He's going to be in there for a while.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he's my number 4. What do you got for number 3?
Number 3. Now, my number 3 is Okada, actually. And here's why I place him as number 3. Even though he is the top guy and, he is the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, he regained it back earlier this year at Madison Square Garden, where, of course, he beat Jay White. And that was a historical occasion. I mean, the first time that, a promotion outside of the WWE headlined Madison Square Garden, and then the closing moments of that show was Okada finally winning the belt back. The only reason why I put him at number 3 is because of the fact that I feel like even though this reign is not, it's still early, I feel like Okada is not as celebrated as he was in his last reign. I feel like people are cooling off on him a little bit, but I can't deny the fact that the man still puts on these amazing matches. Like there's no denying that. And the fact that I feel like because of who he is and how he has carried himself, even during the Kenny Omega saga, even post Kenny Omega and post Elite, that he has still consistently been such a good wrestler and a good figurehead for the company that whether he takes a second fiddle or he's the top guy, people love him anyway. Even though I feel like this title run has been not as celebrated as the last one where he held it on for nearly 2.5 years, Okada is still top top notch. So that's why I put him at number 3, is that he's still the man, but I feel like people are coming after him.
He's the best around.
But yeah, that's my number 3.
Número 3. My number 3 is Jay White.
Jay White.
And Jay White seems like he's the arch nemesis right now of all the top guys in New Japan. Ibushi, Okada, and Tanahashi. The cerebral assassin, I think we called him last week, right?
Yeah.
Cerebral assassin. He get away with a lot. And he's a great wrestler, great seller. He does everything, man. And definitely deserves to be on the top 5 on my list.
Awesome. And that it's ironic you put him there, because my number 2 happens to be Jay White. I feel like Jay White, it's unfortunate that Kenny Omega decided to leave New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, there is a possibility, apparently, that he could come back to New Japan and wrestle if he wants, even though, of course, I think his priority will be AEW from here on going forth. But I could tell that New Japan for a while was trying to really cultivate their expansion into North America and into territories outside of New Japan as Kenny Omega as the figurehead of that expansion. Since then, I feel like Jay White has kind of taken over that. And like I said, the thing that I think people are mistaken is the fact that people think, Jay White will just be the next Kenny Omega. And I think, Jay White is going to be the next Jay White.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's slowly proving to people of how great and versatile he is as a wrestler. I mean, the guy has psychology beyond his years, considering that he hasn't been a pro for very long. And I just feel like another IWGP heavyweight title reign is within his grasp anytime soon. Even though he came up short in the G1 against Ibushi, the fact is, like, when it comes to heel wrestlers, in New Japan only, Jay White is the top.
Yeah.
The top heel wrestler in that company.
Yeah, he's going to get that belt again, I'm sure.
Whether he decides to stay in the Bullet Club or left the Bullet Club, he can stand on his own 2 feet. And it's amazing.
My numero 2, I have the opposite as you. I have Okada at number 2.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Course, my number 1 is Tomohiro Ishii, because I feel like he is the uncrowned top of the heavyweights. The guy, I feel like, deserves so much fucking more than a never open weight belt at this point. The guy has consistently delivered. He is the perfect, like, foil to a wrestler in a match. Anybody who wrestles a match with Ishii, you're gonna have a war. That's it. Like, it's just a pure war. The guy is brilliant and amazing, and only thing that I personally feel like what's holding him back is the fact that he doesn't have this handsome, marketable look. And I think that's BS. I think it's total bullshit. Yeah. I think, fine, he isn't the most good-looking dude, but the guy can fucking put on a guy. He's a mean motherfucker, and he's just so goddamn good in that ring. Like, give him a bigger belt.
If it was any other sport, they'll probably use him. Like, if it was MMA, they'll probably choose him.
They probably choose him, but for pro wrestling,
mean face guy, yeah.
Yeah, and with New Japan having a focus on trying to keep their expansion going, I get it, but the fact of the matter is Ishii has consistently put on amazing matches. There's several that come to mind, and we'll get into that later, but Christ, man, I mean, Ishii is, in my opinion, hands down, is one of the, I think even like the Wrestling Observer even gave him the MVP of the G1 Climax, and I completely agree with that. Yeah. It didn't matter whether he wrestled Taichi or whether he wrestled Moxley. He put on a great match, even if he was the Yano. It didn't matter, like, whether he was selling because he was hurt, or whether he's in a war, or whether he was just dominating. He did such great storytelling in that ring, especially in the G1 Climax and in the New Japan Cup. With that being said, Ishii is my favorite wrestler in New Japan Pro Wrestling right now.
Dang,
hands down.
That's a bold statement, man.
Bold, exactly. He deserves a hell of a lot more.
Dang, I like that choice. I think our list, we had him backwards. I actually have Ospreay on my number 1.
Really?
Yeah, and I just, because of Ospreay, everything he's doing, and going back and forth between the weight classes, like you mentioned earlier, and all the matches he has with anybody, kind of like Ishii too. Like, any match he has, he could make the other person look good, make himself look good, and stellar matches. This year he's gonna continue to be on fire.
I completely agree. Absolutely. Like I said, it's just a matter of time to me. Like, it's not if, it's just when. And then on that note, then we go to, of course, the top 5 matches in New Japan this year. Now, this is hard. And I'm pretty sure after this podcast goes up, I'll think of like, oh shit, how come I didn't mention this one or that one? But, I gave it my best, and I'll start with my number 5.
Okay.
And that'll be Taichi against Tomohiro Ishii, but in the New Japan Cup.
Yeah.
I think that was the first time that we saw that Taichi can be taken seriously. And not just be taken seriously, but the fact is that, like, holy shit, he actually has it in him to wrestle at that caliber. Now, don't get me wrong. In a lot of ways, I preferred their match in the G1 climax because Taichi did kick Ishii's ass.
Yeah.
But the one thing I liked about the other match is that there was this feeling in the crowd that like people were like shocked. Like, wow. Like Taichi actually has it within him to not cheat and to, because he actually put down his microphone in that match. He was gonna get ready to use a microphone. He dropped it down. He's like, "Fuck it, if I'm gonna beat you, I'm gonna beat you clean." He lost, and of course, any match with Ishii, if you push him, it's a war. And Ishii, of course, was just a badass in that match. But I can't get over the fact that I think that match. But prior to that, Taichi was like, "All right, I see little glimpses here and there," but that match won me over and made me change my mind about Taichi.
Yeah, he's my hero now.
Yeah, he's awesome. What about your number 5, dude?
My number 5 is Ospreay versus Archer in the G1 when we went to Dallas.
Oh wow, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, and I think it was just because of how awestruck I was being there in person. So it was my first time seeing a live New Japan show.
Yeah,
and we were up front. Thanks to Anthony at Loja Libre Fitness. We were up close to the match to see it. And yeah, I mean, I was awestruck. It was so awesome. Awesome atmosphere. Everybody's so excited. And then Archer coming into this new gimmick he has now.
Yeah.
That he's like transcended what he did before. Like it was
almost overnight.
Yeah. And Ospreay, he makes, like I just said earlier, he makes everyone look so good. And this was an awesome match. Just back and forth. Everybody was amazed with what they were watching, so that's why I have it as numero 5.
Cool, man. I completely agree. That was a really good choice, man.
Yeah.
Then number 4 for me was Jon Moxley against Tomohiro Ishii. Another, like I said, those are 2 Ishii matches in my top 5. But that match was a fucking war. Like, and any match with Ishii is obviously a war. I say that all the time. Yeah. But this match went to the next level. I mean, you saw Ishii get on top of the turnbuckle and do a splash through a table on Jon Moxley.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then you saw like Moxley like concentrate on the leg. Ishii pretty much just ragdoll. Moxley like pretty much both of these guys, for lack of a better way of putting it, got their shit in. They both kicked each other's ass, and it came so close. And the thing is, Moxley wasn't afraid. Ishii wanted to prove a point, and even though Ishii lost, Ishii didn't look bad losing.
Yeah, that was a fight, man.
That was a fight. I mean, if Taichi and Ishii was a classic Japanese wrestling match, like the embodiment of what strong style is, Moxley versus Ishii was just a street fight.
Yeah.
It was a pure street fight, and I love the fact that you get to see this scrappier, more violent Moxley, and the fact that Ishii can still, even though Ishii is not a hardcore wrestler by trade, he is not a deathmatch guy. You can obviously tell that it didn't matter. He could fit into that environment because he can brawl if he wants. He can hit you with power moves. He has a little bit of the technical expertise. And the same thing with Moxley. Moxley isn't known as a technical guy, but can he do it? Mm-hmm. Sure. We saw glimpses of a lot of technical wrestling and a lot of MMA striking in this tournament. And then Moxley, of course, can always go back to his deathmatch days and be scrappy and fight. So it's like both of these guys pretty much threw the kitchen sink at each other, and it was a war, and I loved every minute of it. It was awesome.
Man, I want to see that again. We're gonna watch it after we finish recording.
Absolutely, hands down. All right, man. What about your number 3, right?
My number 4.
Excuse me.
My number 4, I have Colt Cabana versus Yano, man.
Colt Cabana versus Yano?
Yeah, man. This is because of the comedic wrestling I like.
Yeah.
I listened to other podcasts, and a lot of people like this match with Cabana versus Yano. Like it was just a high caliber match for Cabana that we haven't seen him in a while, especially in New Japan when he was in the Cup. And Yano, I mean, they were just doing what they do best, is just making people laugh and having great technical matches that they both could do, surprisingly.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's a match I honestly overlooked. And the thing is, you're probably right, because like I don't think people necessarily give Cabana the credit. Mm-hmm. I think people give Cabana the credit he deserves. I just think that often people don't realize that Cabana is so versatile. Yeah. Same thing with Yano, but when you get both of those geniuses in the ring together, it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's fucking that's a good choice, honestly. Really fucking brilliant.
What do you got? Number 3.
Number 3. For number 3 was Madison Square Garden. It was Taiji Ishimori defending against Dragon Lee and Bandito. Well, yeah, that match was fucking fast from the get-go. And the part that I love the most is when somebody went for a sunset flip. No, somebody hit a Hurricane Rana, flipped them over, and then as they landed, then Bandito jumped and hit Taiji Ishimori with like a Canadian destroyer in the same movement. And then of course Bandito hitting that like backflip double slam on both Ishimori and Dragon Lee in the match. And also just
that was
just the changed lucha spots, like, you know, a lot of the flipping and arm drags. I mean, fuck's sake.
It was a very quick match. I would loved it to be longer, but even though it was that short time, it was amazing.
I don't know how it was for you on TV, but in MSG, that crowd went ape shit from the bell to the end, because it was like, holy shit, like these guys are just moving fast, boom, boom, boom. And I know a lot of people criticize that style because there's a lack of selling and there's a lack of storytelling. I completely disagree. I think this is a matter of who's fast enough to get the pin and to eliminate the third guy out of the ring. And ultimately, of course, Bandito did in fact pin Dragon Lee, you know, and Dragon Lee did in fact pin Bandito for the closing of the match, which set up later for Taiji Ishimori to, of course, challenge Dragon Lee for another title opportunity. But this match, dude, was just, when they announced it, I remember originally it was supposed to be Taiji Ishimori against Dragon Lee, which I was happy about. And then when they threw Bandito in there, I was like, oh shit, like I'm really excited. And it did not let down. And it was just, I think what added it to the atmosphere was the fact that we were in Madison Square Garden. We knew how historic that was. And did it come across on TV like the crowd was explosive during that match?
Yeah, I mean, a lot more excited than from the beginning Ring of Honor stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like as the night progressed, the crowd got more rowdy and rowdy and rowdy. Especially, you know, with everything that transpired with the tag match and stuff like that. But that match was one of my favorites of the year because it was just boom, 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 and I loved it. It was just like, holy shit! Like, I had to watch it when I came back home like 2 more times just to properly digest it. But it was just fun. It appealed to, like, it was the same way I felt watching like the Cruiserweights wrestle in WCW. That's the same feeling I got. It was just exciting. So
it was an awesome.
That was definitely in my number 3 right there.
My number 3, I have the one you talked about earlier, Taichi versus Ishii in the New Japan Cup. This one, Taichi was one of my favorites, and after this match, he became my hero. Because this one not only showed how everything Taichi could do, but it was also right after the retirement of
Iizuka.
Yeah, right. It was after the retirement of Iizuka.
Yeah.
And he just was given, or
he took the claw.
And then everyone didn't know what really he was going to do next. And then he had this match. And everybody was like, oh, snap. Like, this guy's a wrestler.
Yeah, like, he can actually... he's not a fucking cheater. Like, he can go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, maybe I should have placed that match higher. But, you know, it's just... It was hard. It was hard. Dude, there was... when does New Japan not... I mean, New Japan does have some matches sometimes where it's like, but it's less so than the other guys, if you know what I'm saying. So, I mean, good. I mean, I agree with that placing. Maybe I should have done the same. And then now we're down to number 2.
Yeah. What's your number 2,
Number 2 was Naito against Ibushi at Madison Square Garden. Because that match, I think everybody in that crowd knew that it was going to be amazing. And they pretty much murdered each other in the match, just like they did before. Like when they did in the New Japan Cup. Like, these two guys just don't give a shit about their well-being when they wrestle each other. I think to the detriment of each other's health, every time they wrestle, they go all out. They take these crazy bumps, do these crazy spots. Naito is famous for taking crazy amounts of punishment. You know, Ibushi is known as a daredevil, and this was no different in Madison Square Garden. It's, you know, and that crowd was on fire. Like, this was like a big fight feel.
It's like they were gonna kill themselves or kill each other or something with all those neck things.
Yeah, well, exactly. When he hit the bastard driver on Naito, I was like, oh god, that just... Oh no, when Naito hit it on Ibushi, he hit him with the bastard driver, you know, and then of course just all these just terrible pile driver type moves or neck breakers, or just the way they were just taking shots at each other. It was sickening.
Yeah.
And you know, I hope they keep these guys away from each other for a while, because I don't think they need to keep doing those spots anymore. But to my delight, it was an amazing match in Madison Square Garden.
Sure was. That's what was it? Your number 2?
Yes.
My number 2, I have Ibushi versus Ospreay in Wrestle Kingdom. That was the beginning of the year.
I was thinking about putting that there too.
Yeah, this is where we saw the Ospreay's new move, the
Hidden Blade.
Hidden Blade, yeah. When he knocked out Ibushi, it seemed like that was a little bit gross when I saw it the first time.
Yeah, it was kind of sickening because he hit him with the back of his bare elbow in the back of the head, and you heard it like clock.
Yeah. And everybody's like, oh no, is he dead? That was a great match for you, man. Especially when we were almost half asleep when we were watching it, remember?
Yeah, exactly. Because we were like, it was super early in the morning, and it was at the beginning of the card.
Yeah.
But that woke me up because you just heard the click, you heard the pop, and you're like, oh, everyone in the living room was like, oh shit, like.
Yeah, we didn't go to sleep after that.
Like after that, that woke people up because that was not a sell. That was like a legit like.
It was a legit hit.
I mean, because of that, Ibushi got a concussion, had to stay out for a little while. Had a rough start of the year.
Yeah.
Man.
What's your number one?
Okada against Sonata in the G1 because finally Sonata was able to pin Okada.
Yeah.
Finally, after this would be his seventh attempt, was able to do it. And I think the reaction from the crowd was just like overwhelming. I mean, people were stoked that Ibushi won the G1. I think the only other reaction that was almost the equivalent of that was seeing Sonata go through so much and pin him. I think at 29 minutes and 45 seconds. Like he had barely 15. This is in fact the longest match in G1 history because there's 30-minute time limit. So the fact that he was finally able to do it, but the fact that he had to hit 2 moonsaults and keep that skull end on him for forever, and it just shows you how tough it is to beat Okada. But man, I say it's my number one because like you see how great Okada is, and you see how Sonata is just that much closer, in my opinion, to being one of the new faces of this upcoming generation in New Japan.
Yeah, we probably could have placed him in. I could have placed him in my number 6, like if we would do top 6.
Gotcha.
For top guys in Sonata. So good choice there, man. That match was awesome. My number one, I got Shingo versus Ospreay, man, on the Best of Super Juniors.
That was a damn good one.
That was I almost cried in that match. So good, man. Shingo. That's why I was disappointed with him in the G1. Like, why didn't he give him more of a bigger push in the G1? But of course, I mean, he was with heavyweights now, which that makes sense not to put him as higher in the G1. But yeah, man, this match with Ospreay in the Best of Super Juniors was amazing.
Oh, it totally was. And that's another match I could have, that's another thing too. Like I didn't realize that I could have. Now, and you see, this goes back to what I was saying. Like now, if I could change it around, I would put Naito against Shingo Takagi, maybe as.
Man, so many matches. Maybe Chris Jericho against Naito too.
Yeah, there was that too. Like, damn. Like, see, like there's so many good matches that start to come to memory. But I'll stick to my list for now. I'll give you that one. Yep. It just shows you that I guess it just shows you that when it comes to wrestling, certain things stick out to each other for different reasons. Because we do have somewhat different lists. We have, I think, maybe one or two is similar. Yeah, 1 or 2 similar. But the thing is, like, it just shows you the beauty of pro wrestling is that everybody likes things for different reasons and catches on to different things.
Yeah,
and it just shows you that, in my opinion, post Elite, post Kenny Omega, New Japan is gonna be fine.
Yeah, it's super fine right now.
Exactly.
So many good guys on it. They're gonna keep getting good. So keep watching New Japan, people.
Exactly. Keep watching them. Keep doing it.
Oh yeah. So we want to go to our next segment.
Yeah, man. And we're gonna keep this list thing going. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna concentrate on 5 of the best wrestlers outside of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Remember, not WWE, not NXT. We don't go there. But out there in the rest of the wrestling world, on the indies, like I said, we try to showcase a little bit of the indies on here and a little bit of other promotions that are doing something out there. But who are the top 5 people out there, or teams, or whatever? So let's talk about that.
Let's do it. What up, peeps?
But we're still here, man.
Yeah,
we didn't go anywhere.
It's never left.
But yeah, like top 5 people out. Like I said, one thing that's for certain, man. As much as we love New Japan on this show, there's no denying that there's a lot of quality wrestling going out there.
Yeah,
in the rest of the world, and I'm really stoked. Like I said, I really enjoy seeing what else is out there, and man, there's a lot of amazing talent out there. So with that being said, like we can definitely focus on who's really been capturing your attention out there. So do you want to start first this time?
I will start with my numero 5. My number 5, pair of the Young Bucks,
Why the Young Bucks?
Yeah, I like those guys, man. They're doing so many things with AEW. Oh, of course, they're being the elite show they have. I mean, these guys are entrepreneurs. They could wrestle great matches. They're gonna keep doing great things. So, but definitely in top 5
for sure. And then for me, for top 5, my number 5 has to be Jon Moxley. And the reason why I say Jon Moxley, yeah, exactly, is that besides his awesome, performance in the G1, that within itself deserves, praise. It just shows you how versatile he is. But also he had some amazing match. He had an amazing match against Killer Kross that was brutal. Mm-hmm. Had an awesome match against Darby Allin on the Independence, as well as, but how you can forget that car crash of an unsanctioned match he had against Joey Janela at Double or Nothing. I mean, that was just fucking insane.
Yeah.
And the fact it just showed you that he kind of went back to his deathmatch roots a little bit, which was kind of cool to see. I would never thought I would have seen that kind of brutality on a pay-per-view in a long time, and we did.
That was different. That was good.
It was different. Good. It was a good different, absolutely. And the fact that he was able to escape the confines of the WWE and show how good he truly can be and is. And I've really loved his promo work that he's done for AEW. I've loved, the dynamic he has with the Shota Umino in New Japan Pro Wrestling as him being his little protege.
Yeah, that was good.
And I just love that Moxley just has really shown just how much more fleshed out he truly can be as a performer without the confines of writers and a PG product.
Yeah,
loved it. Moxley has my hats off to him. He has killed it this year.
I agree with that, man.
Absolutely,
definitely top 5.
And then what about your number 4?
My number 4, I have the Lucha Bros, man.
The Lucha Bros?
The Lucha Bros, Rey Fenix and Pentagon Jr., man. Man, these guys have been on fire for the last, 2 years? I think, or maybe even longer than that, a little bit.
I think they've been indies. They've been going for a while, but I think these past 2 years have been really awesome.
Yeah, and same as the Young Bucks, man. I mean, they're going to keep doing good in AEW. Awesome matches everywhere they go. I think Pentagon Jr. had a recent match with Moxley too in the Indies, right?
Yeah. So
that was I think I saw clips of that. Seemed like an awesome match. Rey Fenix too. I mean, they're going to be in the PWG coming up tournament.
Battle of Los Angeles.
Battle of Los Angeles. Yep. There you go. So yeah, man. These guys are gonna keep going, man. They're going to be on fires for a while.
Absolutely. I mean, they've always been on fire, and I feel like this year alone, they've just really elevated themselves.
Yeah.
And then, of course, my number 4 would be Tessa Blanchard.
Tessa Blanchard, yeah, good choice, man. I was gonna pick her too.
Yeah, Tessa Blanchard. And the reason why I say Tessa Blanchard is because single-handedly, you are seeing someone outside of the women's revolution that the WWE is coining. That how not only is she killing it in terms of women's wrestling, but she just does so many amazing things in intergender matches. Like she can hold her own against men, and I feel like if WWE has Charlotte Flair as their face of their women's division, and or currently Becky Lynch for that matter, Tessa Blanchard is the face of how great women's wrestling is outside of the WWE. The opposite side of the coin. And she is so dynamic. Her promo work, she is great at playing a cocky heel. She is great at just playing a cocky face. Like you can tell she puts the work in. It's shown. I remember seeing her at a Pro Wrestling Syndicate show in 2014, in like the beginning of 2014. And back then, she was super inexperienced, and of course she was there with her father, Tully Blanchard. Yeah. And back then, I didn't really think much of her. I was like, okay, she's the daughter of Tully Blanchard. Cool, she has that going for her. But then now, like, you fast forward like 6 years later, shit, just amazing in that fucking ring. And it's just really, I think in a lot of ways represents truly how far you can take women's wrestling and intergender wrestling. So
she's doing that on different promotions too, huh?
Exactly. Women's of Wrestling, Impact, AAA. She's killing it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Indies and everything. Yeah, man, for sure.
So that's my number 4 right there.
Number 4. Where are we at? Number 3?
Yes, sir.
My number 3 is going to be Dr. Wagner, man.
Dr. Wagner.
Yeah, AAA. And the reason I have him so in my best wrestlers right now is because different things he's doing with AAA, and also he right now in the N1 in Noah. And not only for all that and the great wrestler he is, but also from coming back from, they suffered a death in their family with Ramses, Silver King, when he passed away, his brother, and he still continued wrestling. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be that strong to continue doing that. So for him to continue doing that after that terrible tragedy, like this guy's a man, and he could deliver in like his matches, man. He's really good.
Cool. I mean, I completely agree, man. I mean, he's been able to continue to, and you know, like I said, he's been a fixture in this business for so long.
Yeah.
And still performing at that high level. I mean, so much props to him.
Yeah, good wrestler, man.
Absolutely.
What do you got for number 3?
Number 3, in my personal opinion, I would have to say Bea Priestley from Stardom. And the reason why I only put her slightly higher than Tessa Blanchard, and it's not because I think Bea Priestley's quote unquote doing better, or quote unquote Tessa is not as great as Bea Priestley. I just think to see Bea Priestley in such a short time not only elevate herself, but to pretty much elevate Stardom as a company, and to now more people on an international basis are recognizing Stardom. Because I know a lot of people wrote her off as being, oh, that's Will Ospreay's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Or a lot of people were just like, oh, she's the girl who wrestled, you know, in England, and she's decent. I think this past year, especially that she won, you know, the title against Kagetsu earlier this year, she has really, when you want to talk about popping a territory, I think Bea Priestley has done that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of talented, you know, wrestlers on that roster, like a Mayu Iwatani, and of course Io Shirai in the past of Stardom and stuff like that. And but the fact is, currently, the reason why I feel like a lot of people are tuning in is because Bea Priestley has that it factor.
Yeah.
Has that it factor, as she likes to call herself. She calls herself the top gaijin, top foreigner, and she's killing it right now. She is absolutely killing it right now, and I put her there because I think it is extremely hard for a foreign person to not only break big in Japan. Like I said, Kenny Omega was successful as a male in New Japan Pro Wrestling, but as a foreign women's wrestler, I think Bea Priestley, even though there's been other foreign women's wrestlers to do well in Japan, I think Bea Priestley has taken it to another level.
Yeah.
With Stardom.
That's a beast couple right there, Ospreay and Bea Priestley.
Absolutely. And also, they're funny as shit. If you ever watch their Instagram stories, god damn, they're fucking hilarious. Like, they're total goof offs. But nonetheless, Bea Priestley, you know, at my number, what was it, 3?
Numero 3, yeah.
Yes, at my number 3.
All right, for my number 2, I got the Briscoe Bros, man, from Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor, I wish people would still keep watching it because it's still a good show. They just had a brutal match against the GOD. They also had other crazy matches, not only just GOD, but against the Villain Enterprises as well. I mean, I didn't like these guys a while back, but now I'm a big fan of these guys, so I'm going to continue watching these guys to see what they do in Ring of Honor, man.
Absolutely. Cool. Okay, that goes to my number 2.
Your numero 2.
My number 2 would have to be, of course, Penta and Rey Fenix, actually. I placed them higher because of the simple fact that I feel like this past year alone and leading up into their signing with AEW, like I said, for a while, a lot of people were wondering, are Pentagon and, you know, who are they going to sign to AEW? Who are they going to sign to AEW? And Pentagon and Rey Fenix, where the Lucha Bros were definitely like a hot commodity. Like, people were saying, are they going to sign to the WWE?
Yeah.
Are they going to go, you know, strictly to Mexico? They, of course, were still dealing with MLW. Like, there was kind of like a bidding war for these guys. And then they decided to go with AEW, while still, of course, having the partnership with, you know, AAA in Mexico. And with that being said, I mean, these guys have been killing it. I feel like if the Young Bucks were dominating for the past couple of years in terms of just pure tag team wrestling, the Lucha Brothers have kind of, in my opinion, usurped them from that top slot as to who is the best tag team in the world. I think right now it doesn't get any better than the Lucha Brothers, because those guys wrestle such an insane schedule.
Yeah.
Such an insane schedule, you know. And I remember just WrestleMania weekend alone, I think they wrestled 6 times. And out of those 6 times, I saw them 3. I saw them do, you know, an MLW taping.
Yeah.
I saw them do 2 matches for WrestleCon, and then of course I know that they individually did matches, you know, for Blackcraft Wrestling and for other promotions throughout the you know, throughout the weekend. It's just those guys have such an insane work ethic.
Yeah.
And I think that they are one of those pairs of luchadors that have transcended Mexico now. Now I think they're becoming almost mainstream in a sense, or they're on that cusp cusp of becoming mainstream. With AEW getting ready to launch really soon, I think their stock and their fame is only going to go that much higher because they have such an awesome marketability and they're just fucking amazing in the ring. So that's why I put them at number 2.
Oh yeah, great choice, man. My number 1, I have Moxley, man. I have him number 1.
Wow.
I was gonna actually put him on my New Japan Best Wrestlers list, top 5. Maybe he'll be my number 7 or 8. But he's in New Japan. He's everywhere. He's in the Indies. You mentioned this earlier. I mean, he has great matches with Janela. He could do a lot. One of these new hybrid wrestlers that could do anything. And Moxley's, to be honest, he wasn't one of my favorites in WWE. I know you liked him before, but not as much. Not for me though. But now with everything he's doing, and I seen what he can do, what he could actually do, because I didn't see him in the Indies.
Yeah.
But now that I've seen what he could actually do, I mean, he's one of my favorite guys right now, and enjoyable to watch every time.
Awesome. Yeah. I completely agree. Like I said, I mean, maybe I should. Like I said, sometimes I think about my list. I'm like, maybe I should have put Moxley ahead. But like I said, there's just so much good stuff out there.
Yeah.
So much good stuff out there. I will say my best favorite wrestler right now is MJF.
MJF, yeah.
I think that is a guy that is going to be the next big thing. I think he's just right there. All he needs is just that one moment. The guy is amazing in that ring, amazing psychology, can do a little bit of it all when he wants. I mean, he can do a little bit of high flying, he can use his size, his power moves, a little bit of technical, but the fact is he has that natural heel charisma and he's amazing on the mic. And talk about a guy that's good at, a lot of people say kayfabe is dead. I think whatever's left of kayfabe, he is good at blending kayfabe with fiction.
Yeah.
He is good at pretending to be the asshole. Like, you can't really tell. It's like, is this really him? Or is this just him playing a character? And he's so good at just pissing people off and getting... And the thing is, it is hard to get organic heat these days. People automatically like the bad guys. But I feel like there are people in that crowd that genuinely want to see MJF get his ass kicked.
Yeah.
They don't like him. They're like this smug, arrogant prick. And I am so excited to see what's in store for him, you know, when AEW kicks off. And I think that this guy, I know I can definitely tell that they're definitely trying to push a Hangman Adam Page in AEW. But in my personal opinion, I think it's going to be magical when MJF is champion. Yeah. It'll just, whoever is in a program with him when MJF gets that title, it's not only going to elevate that title, but it is going to be an amazing rivalry if it's the right guy. But it doesn't matter. I feel like MJF is that guy that whoever he's in the ring with he will elevate whoever. He will elevate. And I feel like MJF is on the cusp of being a household name.
Yeah. Good choice, man.
Absolutely. And then finally, we go down to the best matches outside of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Very difficult. Pretty sure you and I will have some
I was racking my brain on this, man. I couldn't think of a lot.
Because there's so much good shit out there. I mean, how can you pick? It's so hard.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we tried. I will start first.
Go for it.
Number 5, and like I said, I am not the biggest Impact fan because I just feel like it's in my opinion, there's a lot of great talent on there, but it can be inconsistent at times. But I will say Tessa Blanchard against Sami Callihan at Slammiversary, man, what a war. And although Callihan won, it really put Tessa over. Like, man, Tessa can really go with the guys. And I really feel like it definitely showed the possibilities of intergender wrestling done right.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, this is abusive or this is wrong or this is weird. People, I think legitimately got into the story. Like, they were like, wow, like, this is amazing. Like for a second, you forget that it's boy versus girl. After a while, you just think to yourself, this is just two great wrestlers tearing each other apart. And although Tessa, of course, was the underdog, she definitely took it to Sami Callihan, who was no slouch. We've seen him wrestle before. He is as aggressive and mean and nasty as they can get in the wrestling business in that ring. But man, what an amazing match. So I think that was definitely a strong starter for my top 5.
Yeah. Man, that's a good choice. I'm not going to beat that, man. Now my number 5, I have LAX versus the Lucha Bros Impact Rebellion. Looks like it was in April. This is Puerto Rico versus Mexico, man. My two countries.
Yeah, my inner Latino was at war with itself because that's what I am. I couldn't pick sides in this match. I saw that match too.
Yeah,
amazing.
That was a good one. High flying, several spots. LAX, another top top wrestling, top tag team in the world, Lucha Bros. I mean, I have them on another match in my list for top 5. But I mean, these two teams are definitely, you have to watch these guys, especially now. LAX they're out of Impact, so who knows where they're gonna land next. But man, good things from both of these teams.
Absolutely. And then we go to number 4. Now, for me, number 4 was Janela against Moxley in terms of best matches outside of, and I've mentioned this a little bit before earlier.
Yeah.
But my God, like I said, this match appealed to the 15, 16-year-old kid in me that saw FMW and Big Japan VHS tapes for the first time. Like, granted, there is a lot of ultra-violent wrestling out there. You have Freedoms, you have Big Japan, you have Combat Zone, Game Changer does a lot of violent stuff. And those are all great. They all have great matches, and I've watched some of that this year. But what was really interesting about this match is that you saw the level of violence and the creativity of violence done with the production of a major company. You don't usually see something like that. Usually when you see violent matches, it's a small independent, it's Japanese. You might see a violent spot here and there, but this match from the beginning to the end was brutal, especially that spot where Moxley took Janela's boots off and then threw him feet first into the thumbtacks. There's no selling that. You're just gonna take that. You're just gonna fucking take that. And then of course you saw that bad gash on the back of Moxley's back where he got thrown into a barbed wire board. Like I said, this match was just the closest thing you will see to a pure death match happen on a major company, in my opinion. It appealed to that 16-year-old kid that just wanted to see people just beat each other's ass, and it was just fun. It wasn't technical, it wasn't mind-blowing, it was just fun to watch because you saw a guy that I love, Joey Janela, against another guy that I love, Moxley, who are both great at what they've done, respectively. The rule book was out the window, and it was nice to see Moxley without any rules, and it was awesome to see Janela back not Janela back, but more so Janela in his element, which is the hardcore type of wrestling.
Yeah, I could tell you love this one because this one is also on my actually in my number 4 as well. But I could tell when we were watching this on that watch party we had that you were having a great time, and I loved it too, man. I mean, great wrestlers. These two of the guys, like I mentioned earlier, Moxley, I just became a fan of, and Janela as well. I mean, I want to continue seeing these guys in AEW because they're going to continue doing awesome things. So
I completely agree.
Guys.
Absolutely. And then of course now we go to
your número 3.
Número 3. Wow, it's crazy that we both had that as number 4.
Yeah.
Number 3. And that would be GOD against the Briscoes. This most recent one at the Supercard of Honor. And
awesome match.
Fucking hell, amazing match. Talk about hard-hitting wrestling. Ridiculous. The fact that you saw that gash on the back of what Jay Briscoe's back was disgusting and nasty, and he kept wrestling through it. I knew GOD were great tag team wrestlers in Japan, but I feel like this match showed them that they can be brutal and savage, and I love the chemistry that they have with the Briscoe brothers. It's like, you have hard-hitting, you had both teams who are, hard-hitting and just technical tag team wrestlers in their own right, but you put in a ladder and weapons. They just beat each other's ass, man, just all over that fucking ring. And of course the Briscoes are crazy off those ladders. And I think you got to see a more hardcore and brutal side of GOD, which they held their own. They did not miss a step. They weren't, you can tell some people when they're in a certain type of match, they're out of their element. I wouldn't have known that with GOD. GOD were in their element and they took it to the Briscoes, and it was just fucking hard hitting from the bell until the end.
Yeah.
I was very happy with this match, and it was like, there's another side to GOD we don't get to see enough of. So I was glad to see it.
Man, great choice on that one. Let's see, my number 3, I have the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros on Double or Nothing.
Crazy match. That crowd ate it up.
Crazy match, man. A lot of people criticize the Young Bucks a lot for all their spots they do, but I mean, they make it work though. I guess from what they say, don't use violence or blood for just blood or violence just for the sake of it. The same thing with the Young Bucks. I mean, the spots they do for a reason to still tell a story and make it the match even better. This is a great match for me. I mean, you have luchadores on there, so I loved it.
Awesome.
What do you got, number 2?
Number 2 was Kagetsu against Bea Priestley, and I feel like this match was just a solid, just awesome Joshi wrestling match, brutal as hell. I love the fact that Bea Priestley is now using her version of the V-trigger and uses it just as well as Kenny Omega. But I feel like this match with Kagetsu, who's been kind of like a dominant champion for about a year, and then I feel like this match was kind of like Bea Priestley's coronation into being the face of Stardom and has kind of elevated the company and the belt alongside with it, because before that she was, you know, pretty much kind of like the leader of Queen's Quest in Stardom. And I feel like now she's starting to transcend her presence outside of Stardom. Of course, you saw her in AEW, you know, and I think you will continue to see her in AEW. But as far as somebody popping a territory, I feel like Bea Priestley has taken Stardom into another level, and this match was responsible for that. Also, just an awesome contrast of styles as well.
Let's see, where am I at? Oh, my number 2. I have Ospreay versus Bandido in WrestleCon, and I can remember if you were there, you were on your way there. But that was an amazing match. It was a pretty match.
I was on my way.
Like, it was Bandido, his great lucha style, and Ospreay that he takes a lot from his lucha. I mean, he loves lucha. I mean, he loves Eddie Guerrero. So, I mean, it was a great match. Both guys definitely delivered and showed everyone where they're made of. It was an amazing match for me, so I love this one. I wish you could have been there to see it, but man.
I did see the replay.
Yeah.
And that was a very beautiful match. In fact, it was such a good match. I'm like, wow, this is just for WrestleCon. And nothing. It's not to knock WrestleCon, like it doesn't mean anything. But, you know, WrestleCon does have a lot of, you know, dream matches and so forth. But man, that match could have easily have been at Supercard, at a Supercard of Honor show. It could have been at a New Japan show. But people at WrestleCon got a treat.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Really good one. And finally, my number 1. It may or may not be your number 1, but for me it was Dustin versus Cody.
Yeah, man, I got the same.
At Double or Nothing.
Yes, sir.
What else? I mean, God, you want to talk about, you know, pure storytelling of a brotherly rivalry finally spilling over and boiling, coming to a head, and then seeing just that just the blood. And the thing is, the blood wasn't done unnecessarily. The blood was to kind of invoke sympathy for Dustin. And Cody, you know, wanted to beat him no matter what. But in fact, in a lot of ways, it was like Cody unintentionally became the heel in that match. And there was like this sympathy that Dustin kind of got from the crowd. Like the crowd wanted him to win and they felt bad for him. And at the same time, it's like, wow, you can still go. Like you are still capable of producing a high caliber match, high caliber storytelling. And the fact that he produced that at this late in his career, I don't think anybody in the WWE would have even given him that platform to do this. Because I feel like they would have been like, oh, well, you know, Goldust is a good guy. He's a good hand. What we'll do is we'll use him to put over Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman will squash him in 5 seconds. And there you go. He beat Goldust. Or he'll be in a tag match and help some younger guy. But I don't think people would have ever, at this point, thought at this juncture in Dustin's career that he would have had the opportunity to not only go out there by himself, but to put on a match of that caliber by himself with his brother. And that right there, I mean, beautifully done match. When a match is able to invoke emotion from you like that, you know you've done something good. And because that match wasn't about spots. It wasn't about moonsaults. It wasn't about, you know, weapons. It was just about storytelling.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is often a lost art in wrestling nowadays. And as much as I love how wrestling is now, I think wrestling is better than it's ever been, in my opinion. But storytelling is often lost. So when you are able to put a story with a physical matchup like that, it just makes it that much better. That's my favorite kind of wrestling, is when you compare a good physical match where it's like, man, these two guys are just killing each other to win, and there's a story behind it. This was a perfect example. And the build up off the YouTube videos leading up to it about how you know, Cody said he wanted to kill the remainder of the Attitude Era. He was tired of it. He was tired of everyone comparing everything to the Attitude Era. And Dustin was the last embodiment of what was left of the Attitude Era. And Dustin wanted to kind of humble Cody and saying, like, he's too big for his britches. He thinks he's better than everybody. He forgot where he came from. I'm here to remind him. So it was just so good, so fucking good. And you got to, you know, kudos to AEW's production team for those awesome build-up videos, you know. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is our half year, slightly over half year in review, our top 5 list. If you have anything different, let us know. In fact, tell everyone out there right now, where can they find us if they don't know?
Yes, sir. On the Facebook and Instagram, you can find us on Tiger Driver Radio. On Twitter, you can find us on Tiger Driver Rad1. You can email us at tigerdriverradio@gmail.com. And then, of course, you know, if they want to catch us on our podcast, we're still on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, everywhere,
Podbean,
man. Stitcher.
Go out there. Let us know. Let us know what else you guys want to hear on this show. Who do you want us to try to interview? We'll try our best to get out there. Any suggestion, gripes, complaints, bitches, moans, whatever. Get in contact with us. here at Tiger Driver Radio. And on that note, man, you got anything else?
That's it.
That's it, exactly, kids. So go out there, enjoy pro wrestling. Go ahead and get ready to get prepared for an amazing end of the summer and the fall, because there's a lot of amazing wrestling out there.
Vámonos.
Exactly. On that note, kids, enjoy pro wrestling.
Adios.